You're watching the Chaos Protocol on Transplanar RPG, an all-transgender, people-of-color-led dark fantasy TTRPG show set in an original non-colonial, anti-Orientalist multiverse. If you like what you see, please consider pledging to our Patreon to support the show and get access to a patron-only aftershow, early podcast episodes, GM notes, character sheets, and even the chance for your tabletop OC to cameo in our series. Thank you so much for watching, and enjoy. The Chaos Protocol is a dark fantasy series that may contain content that is triggering for some viewers. Content warnings for this episode include fantasy violence, blood, gore, guns as weaponry, storms, complex relationships, climate disaster, environmental collapse, apocalypse, caves, classism, wealth inequality, grief, death of loved ones, and references to revolutionary violence. Arc 4, Episode 20. To My Lost Kin. From Waiting for the Moon to Burn by Connie Chang. Like a razor-fin taru, breaching the icy waves of the Kagayaku Ocean, the cargo transport ship rises into the air, propellers whipping faster than any eye can track. Against the ringing of buckshot and the roaring of the storm, the ship wobbles briefly in the air, then speeds off toward the northern horizon, engines guttering. In its wake, a mighty gust of wind whisks across the isthmus. For a brief moment, the choking dust swirls and dances and clears, revealing the battlefield to everyone that still remains. Slowly, carefully, Azalis Raid lowers their gun. The rage on their face does not boil or burn or bubble over. It is cold and long and deep. A winter that has always been there. A winter that has never thawed. They do not look at the rest of their crew, even as the rest of their crew sees each other. They do not look at the three strangers and the ghost from their past, even as these strangers and this ghost see each other as well. All Azalis Raid looks at is the empty spot in the sky where the ship once was. Strike Team Nova. As the dust briefly clears, all four of you see each other at the same time. You're alive. You're okay. How do you reunite?
How do we reunite, huh, Nova?
Yeah,
how
wow.
we doing, eh?
That's a great question. Ooh.
Usually we can't wait to love on each other. Wow, huge.
Wow, that was a long
we just
silence.
took there.
I think Lumièra's taking in everything. She had Xainan tight, almost gripping for dear life in her hands before she really kind of looks at you, takes note of the gold that's spiraling up your neck. I have a question, Xainan. Do you feel any colder? In her hands.
Yes. Cold, like this has been sat out in a chill room for a little bit longer. Just a few degrees, but with your trained, keen senses and your long relationship at this point with him, yes, he is colder.
She runs her thumb down one of the gold cracks. It's her left one, also adorned. The same one that has consistently always been gilded in the gold, written down pattern now is what covers that hand, but when those two tones touch, her breath hitches, almost in realization, but fear that if she says what she's thinking out loud, it'll be real. And more than it being real, once again, she was too late.
And
So
as that thought seems to cross her face, as her fingers touch that gold, he reaches out and puts a hand on her arm, and Xainan Esch remembers to count heads as he can feel the dust begin to whip around them, his hand still holding his hat. And the ship is gone, but there's wind, and he remembers to count 1, 2, 3, because Nova, Seir, clear with an extra head, and Yinghe safe. At least it seems from a distance. Hey. And Xainan squeezes Lumièra's arm.
Yeah. Seir, Yinghe.
Lumièra! Xainan! And Yinghe runs up to the two of you, embraces Lumièra without any preamble, just hugs you tight, and then lets you go, notices the blood splatter still on your cheek, but remembers what it's from. Not your own injury, but someone else's. And you see a contortion of pain, emotional pain go across Yinghe's face.
You okay?
The man who was killed, I tried. He's gone now. I was able to bring his body to the ship before they left.
Sometimes we're too late. Lumièra clips very shortly. Doesn't say much else.
And Seir feels that clip. Seir sees the blood splatter on Lumièra's face, sees the blood covering Yinghe's arms from attempting to piece back the murdered man together so that they may have something to bring back to the garden. And Seir flashes back to a moment of blood upon his arms and blood upon his antlers, the person whose face feels like a tempestuous mood, and he has to shake himself out of it. Again. And he wants to fall on that sword again. There was a moment where, as they reunited, all Seir wanted to do with Yinghe is hold an arm out, pricklingly, menacingly, at the view of this person with the shotgun, but then remembers his place about his own violence, and he doesn't, and instead focuses on Nova. There's a small hesitation as guilt eats him out for a moment, but it seeds back as he pushes away. It is not helpful now.
And as Seir finds this place of patience, Xainan keeps counting heads. Because now Azali's raid stands clear as day, and he can see them with his own eyes.
Azal is not the only extra body in this space, Xainan. Zinnia. As Nova reunites, your group does the same. Saral comes out of the dust, looking shaken and ruffled, but unharmed, as she approaches Jack, immediately fretting over Tada wound in Tada gut. Libra also surfaces out of the dust, their left arm completely soaked in blood, but they don't care or they haven't noticed. And next to Libra is Begun, whose left eye is blooming with a gnarly bruise. His nose is also bent in a bad direction, and his mouth and teeth are covered in blood that he's currently wiping away with his other hand. How do you take stock of your team?
Any weapons left? I know
You say this
Stonewall
out
got hit
loud?
in the hand. Yeah.
Libra just raises their rifle, the same one that had blown Mac's temple wide open, and Begu nods, patting at the weapon strapped to his body as well. Sorrel lifts her tiny little blaster.
A couple of extra ones around. Everyone okay?
There are nods all around the group. Jack lifts her head in your direction, starts to jerk it toward Ozzel's. Maybe we should collect Ozzel's, talk about next steps. This storm isn't gonna get any better. Where's Bug?
All of Nova's together, correct?
Yes.
I gesture over to where Nova's at.
Jack turns her head in Nova's direction, tensing a little when she sees Bug on Seir's shoulders. And as for Bug, they're kind of kicking their feet around where you're standing, Seir, as you reunite with your team. And they're saying, well, we didn't get the ship, but that's okay. Hey! And their face lights up as they see the rest of their team, and they start waving their hands and arms at the rest of their group, who wear varying gradients of responses to this. Some of them are very relieved to see Bug. Others look nervous that this teenager had somehow escaped the purview of Dr. Wu. And speaking of Dr. Wu and a certain other matronly figure, Zinnia, there is suddenly a set of thundering earthquakes and a loud and Seir
What the hell was
charging
that?
out of nowhere, every rocking stomp of her 10 stubby claws shaking the very earth beneath your feet, is a lizard the size of a bus.
Oh! Nose Mama!
She is heavily armored with thick plate-like scales, each one the size of an adult's fully splayed hand. And her scales are partly concealed by all manner of ramshackle equipment and items, canvas tents, backpacks and pouches, leather, plastic, random bits and bobs, and a short, stubby, battering ram-like tail weaves and waves behind her as this creature hundles viciously, rapidly toward you. And speaking of battering rams, a huge fucking horn, like the one on a stag beetle, but a million times larger, protrudes from her brow, and it is this horn that bashes you in the chest, knocks the air out of your lungs, bowls you onto the dusty earth as this creature lets out another mighty she rears up over you, claws gleaming in the air, mouth wide open to reveal razor-sharp serrated teeth in a bright pink mouth. But before this creature can stomp down on your soft mortal body with all the force of a rampaging rhinoceros and kill you, Bug leaps between the two of you, posing its tiny, fragile body in front of this powerful beast. Nose Mama! I'm okay. Don't hurt him! Don't hurt him! They helped me! They're not a threat, okay?
I mean
And
no
this
harm.
creature, this Nose Mama, eyes you, Seir, with careful animal intelligence, as though she can understand every single word that Bug is saying to her. And she slowly lowers her front claws onto the earth and retreats, her pink tongue flicking in and out of her mouth. And then, completely disinterested in you, Nose Mama turns to Bug and gives him a big old lick up the arm and face. And Bug giggles and clings to Nose Mama's horn, even as the storm howls around them, and they're lifted up off of the ground by the horn rearing upward. Nova, how did each of you react to Nose Mama, and which one of you helps Seir to his feet?
Xainan dove out of the way very quickly. He is now laying on the ground, again, covered in more dust, because that's a giant creature running at them.
It sure is. Lumièra?
Lumièra is shocked, to say the least. But I think, if anything, her left hand is out as she tries to jump in front of near Seir, as her hand out in a way that she would have cast some type of liminal to buy Seir some time before Nose Mama pipes down.
Seir, you feel Yinghe's hands around your shoulder as he helps you up to your feet. Are you okay?
Thank you, Neela. Like, the wind is knocked out of Seir. I imagine this bulldozing happened right into his diaphragm, so he's having a hard time catching his breath in the moment. It feels like shots of electricity ringing throughout his body, and they kind of like lean against Yinghe for a moment and breathe through it. And Seir's reaction to Nose Mama is twofold. The first is this same sort of like wide-eyed interest when he first saw the Triphorodons of the Wild Sea, and suddenly there's a voice in the back of his head that sounds like a bossy talking about how he should have made himself look small and not as scary to the Triphorodons, and then he realizes he had not learned that lesson and that he will remember it for next time a large creature comes barreling towards him. And the second reaction that Seir has is how beautiful this creature is. This creature that Bug called Nose Mama, which is an interesting piece of information he stores in the back of his head. And he thinks about the way Bug lifts themselves onto Nose Mama and the way they sit amidst this dust storm. And he can't help but think of Sig. How she might have done the same.
Bug is slowly lowered back onto the ground as Nose Mama dips her brow, and as they do, they say, "I knew you'd understand, Nose Mama. Oh, hi, Dr. Wu." And Bug waves at an older woman hanging on for dear fucking life on Nose Mama's back, her graying hair wildly blown about her face. "I'm all right, dear. That was the fastest I've ever seen Nose Mama move." And now it's Bagoon who cuts in. This man that you would notice with kind of a broken-looking nose, blood all over his mouth. Speaking of moving, everyone, we need to go. The storm's picking up rapidly.
You got shelter?
Libra, who's this kind of lean person with ruby red skin, eyes the four of you with a narrowed gaze. Depends on who's asking. Hey, who the fuck are they? Can we trust them? Jack cuts a sideways look at Lumièra while still gripping her bandaged wound. Yes, Libra, I think so. Look, all of us can get acquainted later. Right now, we all need to find shelter.
Agreed.
Lumièra reaches down and reaches out with her forearm, left one, of course, to help Seir off the floor.
Okay.
You sure?
Just the wind got knocked out of me. Oh. Also, do I take a hit point for that? I should take a hit point for that. I got barreled by a bus.
If you're asking for it, I'll give it to you. So yeah, we'll knock one hit point off of you.
I should. I got hit by a bus. I should.
Your ribs feel bad. They're definitely bruised, if not broken. And there's going to be a gnarly looking purple blossom across your chest in a day or two. For sure.
Oh, yeah.
You are not fine. I can hear it.
Shelter first.
Nose Mama can dig!
What?
Oh.
Bagoon looks at you, Zinnia. You know, at this point, that might actually be our best bet. Even if we could scout for actual shelter, it would take too long and visibility's shot. What do you think?
Dig.
All right, Nose Mama, it's your time to shine! With their feet still planted on the ground, Bug falls onto their hands, sniffing at the earth beside this massive lizard. And Nose Mama, without missing a beat, follows suit. And together, Nose Mama and Bug sniff all around the raised earth of the isthmus as though following a scent only they can perceive. And Nose Mama, all the way down one slope of the isthmus, pauses next to the fallen corpse of what used to be a massive pillar that supported the sky bridge but crumbled years ago. And Bug exclaims, "Oh! Oh, she's got something!" And Nose Mama rears her head up, and then BAM! With even more force than she used to knock Seir over, she slams her massive stag beetle-like horn into the cracked earth, and the ground splits open, as though it were made of pliable clay instead of hard, dehydrated earth. And using that horn like a shovel / a drill, all 10 of her claws furiously pawing into the earth, Nose Mama excavates a massive hole within seconds. And she's still going. She's burrowing, burrow, so forcefully and so quickly that her little bobbed tail still soon trembles out of sight deep into the tunnel. And at the entrance of this tunnel, Bug turns to the rest of you with a big grin on its face. Nose Mama can dig through anything. Come on! And they turn and vanish into the tunnel. The dust storm is getting worse.
I'm going to the hole with the kid.
Let's start with Seir.
Seir sees that, like, is stunned. I like to imagine that because I feel like both Lumièra and Seir have the same look, like watching this happen. And just like shrugs and goes, "I'm going to the hole with the kid, I guess." And then he's going to hop into the hole and like bring out his climbing gear just in case we need the rope or the grappling hook for anything. I don't know what's underneath Kaseki. I follow, I guess.
Okay, Seir, you follow Bug into the tunnel. What about you, Lumièra?
I think Lumièra is getting ready to like be a contrarian for a second. Like let's think about this before Seir just commits and jumps in. And she turns and takes a look at both Xainan and Yinghe. She has not made direct eye contact with Ozzel just yet, ever hyper aware of her presence their presence off in her periphery. And she just grabs Yinghe's hand and is like gives them that look like, you know, where he goes we follow, and pulls Yinghe into the hole behind Seir.
Yinghe nods, pulling up a scarf up to their nose and mouth as they do, as the dust thickens and worsens. It's getting hard to hear each other over the howling of the storm. It's getting much closer, and the two of you vanish into the tunnel. Xainan, you would notice that as folks start piling into the tunnel, Ozzel doesn't move from where they were standing, several feet away, at least 12 feet away, even as the rest of their group follows Nova, follows Nose Mama, follows Bug and Seir and Yinghe and Lumièra into the tunnel. And Zinnia, you see Saral go in, you see Jack, you see Baekun, Dr. Wu, of course. Ozzel doesn't move. Do you? In fact, Zinnia, Xainan, do either of you?
Xainan, when Lumièra and Yinghe turn to go, Xainan says, "I'll catch up." And then he looks right back at Ozzel, because he can't leave without them. And standing there, it's like it gets deja vu, seeing the dust whip around them, standing. He almost can see the hair like midnight whipping in the air. It's not there anymore. You can almost feel the creak of the porch under his feet. Ozzel! Storm's Storm's coming.
I think while that's
Xainan.
happening, I think Zinnia took care of the usual precautions. There's an order to how people enter one of these if the dust kicks up. As always, it is Dr. Wu, it is Saral, followed by Libra, Jack, Bagoon. That all went off without a hitch. They normally are the last one in, and they were waiting, hanging around for Ozzel. And then they hear that sort of way. They know what longing sounds like. They hear it. And I think the second you finish talking, a gunshot erupts from next to you.
It fully jumps.
Yeah, you see Rapture, their revolver, aimed right over near Azel, slightly off, right at their feet. One
The
perfectly
dirt.
placed shot.
The dirt next to Ozzel's foot explodes. They don't flinch. They don't react in shock or surprise or fear. This whole time, their back was to all of you. They're continuing to stare at the northern horizon even as the dust billows in, even as silt and grit thickens around them, obscuring their view of the sky. And it is only with the explosion of the bullet next to their foot that they finally respond. They had not reacted to your voice, Xainan. They had not reacted to any of your voices until this moment. And as they start to turn, Zinnia, Xainan is not the only person here feeling ghosts in this storm, as the wind brews and the dust billows. You think of her, your first dust storm on Keseki, your fatal dust storm on Keseki. You think of her. What of Cherry's spirit calls to you?
This happens every dust storm. Anytime that they take a little too long, they wait just a little. They try to push it just a little too much. Zinnia turns into this. They get sharper, more focused. They make sure everyone gets in first, and they are always the last one in. Even when Ozzel does stuff like this, and this is not the first time. And I think that steadfast determination to make sure everyone else lives is what part of Cherry still resides in Zinnia's soul.
Xainan, as Ozzel finally turns around, you see Ozzel in the dust right now, and you also see Ozzel in the dust back at the steading, coming home to you as your boots creak on a dust-eaten porch. You see a jacket billowing in the wind, weapon in their hand, food as well, in blood-stained palms. You weren't the only one who ventured out into the dust to secure what you needed to secure for your survival, for the survival of your loved ones, your family. And you see Ozzel now, person in the dust, looking at you, the hair missing, one eye eaten away by the apocalypse. And there is a seed of this person in the Ozzel that returned to you at the steading. A seed of annihilation that has always loomed inside of them, loomed on the periphery of your memories from the moment you saw them again here on the Isthmus.
Xainan tries desperately to hold on to the Azalis that he remembers, not because the one before him is distasteful to him, but because that's the one that he planted that seed with. That's the one he raised their daughter with. He doesn't remember. In fact, no, he pushes away the memory that Azalis also... They yelled at each other a lot in that house, especially when the two of them were the only ones left. He refuses to look at those parts of them often, and here they stare at him. In order to love this deep longing in his heart, he still has to remember those. And what's worse, that Ozal is not here. He takes a deep breath because the wound in his chest feels even bigger when he realizes they did not turn around for him. And he recognizes this person in the dust. And he grieves because he knows what that shadow feels like. But he can't leave until Azalis walks towards that hole. That's when the memory can come back. And the Ozal that he longs for can still live in his mind.
The Ozal that's here now looks at you as they turn around. They blink once, only now realizing that the corpse they had left behind had stood up and is talking and walking again. There's a recognition, he's still here on their face. A flat, of course. No shock, no surprise, just acknowledgement. And with one final glance over their shoulder northward to the mission they had failed, Ozal squares their posture toward the tunnel, breeze past you, Zinnia, past you, Xainan, without touching either of you.
Not quite past me. I think there is a small, almost checking with the shoulder. And very quickly, no change of expression, a simple, we're going to have to talk. And lets them pass.
Ozal doesn't pause, doesn't acknowledge the shoulder check, but you see briefly in their one remaining eye a glance toward you. And then they look away and vanish underground. Strike Team Nova. You follow Nose Mama. Down, down, down through a tunnel the width of her body, which, to be fair, is quite wide. And for a long time, the only noise you hear is the shuffling of your own boots against tightly packed earth, the howling wind behind you growing quieter and quieter, the scrabbling of Nose Mama's horn and claws against the dirt, the trembling ground all around you, loose chunks of pebbles and earth crumbling around your shoulders every now and then. And then, finally, eventually, a new noise. Not dirt, but rock, breaking and cracking, and with an almighty smash, Nose Mama breaks open a concrete retaining wall and scrabbles horn first into a much wider, much more spacious, mortal-made tunnel. As Nose Mama shakes the dirt from her scales like a wet dog, the rest of you surface out of this rupture in the wall and take in your darkened surroundings. Someone, Saral, lights a lantern, revealing thick pipes running along concrete walls, long-dead emergency lights dotting the ceiling, all manner of old wires and panels and metal structures holding up the curved circular roof. Baygoon also lights up a lantern, as does Jack, as Saral excitedly runs over to one of the pipes and runs a finger along the cold metal. Oh my stars! We must be in one of the service tunnels for the sky bridge over the isthmus. I've read about these. They run underneath the Kagayaku Ocean and provide access ports for technicians to service any pillars or railings that need maintenance. I never thought I'd get to tour one of these, much less camp in one. Libra raps their knuckles against one of the pipes, and it creates a hollow sound that echoes throughout the tunnel. Is it safe in here? Yes, 100%! Well, maybe not 100, because nothing is 100% assured, but this is much better than being out in the storm, of course. I would have thought that most of these tunnels collapsed by now, but this one seems sturdy enough. As long as we patch up that hole over there, we should be okay. Baygoon claps his hands together and smiles brightly, despite all the blood still pooling from his very broken nose. And he says, all right then, we have all heads and tails accounted for, it looks like, plus a few extra. Anyone injured? Hold on. And this is Libra, clutching their rifle tight with their bloodied left arm. I think it would be prudent for these, strangers among us to introduce themselves before we get our supplies out, especially given how they were rather buddy-buddy with Buta's crew.
Xainan, Xainan, who kind of unwarrantedly, who had been focused so keenly on Ozalise and the thousands of questions rolling around in his head about them, it's interrupted hearing them talk about service tunnels, talking about Keseki like they know it. Because they do. And he didn't realize how much he just needed to hear someone talk about this place like they know it. And tears in his eyes the moment that they ask for a name. Xainan Esch, the agent of trans, vanishes because he is among Kesekins. Xainan Esch.
Xainan Esch, huh? And Libra coils their bloodied fingers around the stock of their rifle, not menacingly, but taking you in. Okay. What about the rest of you? What were you doing with Buddha?
I don't know who you're talking about. My name is Seir, and we weren't... If the implication is that we are somehow a part of that crew, we weren't. We were trying to negotiate a way out of the storm. And I don't know what that name is. That isn't... If you think they're a part of a faction with Buddha, that's not what we were told.
Xainan, you recognize the name Buddha. He is the planetary lord of Keseki, perhaps the most well-known person on your planet. And at Seir saying, I've never heard that name before, I don't know who this person is, you notice that everyone else in this tunnel pauses at that. They look at Seir like he's grown another head. And Libra goes, who's Buddha? What, do you live under a rock? And Bug go, you lived under a rock like me?
Not all of us are from here.
And
Xainan shoots Seir a look. Like, no, none of this.
Seir shrugs at Xainan. We weren't given any information from Xainan about Keseki. Right? I would know better to not speak if I had any information about this. And I think that, like, Seir, like, looks at you quizzically. How could he have known? And he just, like, shrugs and just says, yeah, I'm not necessarily from here. I'm just trying to survive, but I'm just... A lot happened just now, and I just wanted to clear the assumption that we were a part of, or working with, or aligned with any particular faction.
Slow nods around the group, and you notice Begoon. When you had said, we're not from here, he kind of straightened his shoulders, this large man with the bloodied nose and mouth, and says, oh, not from here, then what planet are you from?
Somewhere really far. I don't want to take up too much room. And, like, Seir realizes, like, how much, like, air he is taking in this moment. And all he wants to do is just retreat to look at everyone. He wants to just observe everybody in this room, and turns over to Lumièra and Yinghe so that they may speak.
Where are you from? Interesting question. Lumièra watches, ever observant as she continuously is, but that question strikes her, shocks her still. Here she is in new place, surrounded by people, the first non-Nova beings that she's come across here for longer than just a few moments. How does she answer that question? Who is she? Where is she from? Does she give too little or too much? She knows what this is. She knows that this is an assessment of her family, whether or not we're all worthy. And she straightens her posture, her head tilted high, making direct eye contact with who she's speaking to, but making note to look every single person here in the eye. So when they ask her who she is, she nods. Truth, right? Truth. Lumièra. Asinyo bio superon. From a place that's lost to time. You should probably tilt your head up. Get something to block the blood flow. I can help.
Thank you, I appreciate that. It's nice to meet you, Lumièra. I had hoped it would be under better circumstances. And this man tilts his head up as instructed to stem the blood flow.
Pinch the bridge.
Ooh, ow, okay. That hurts a little. Just a bit of a sting. I'm
Nothing I
alright.
can't fix.
And Jack chimes in and says, she helped patch up this wound of mine. She's a healer. Good at what she does. And
The best.
trustworthy. And Jack levels that in particular at Libra, who scoffs a little and twists their fingers around the stock of their gun again. Yinghe chimes in and says, I'm Yinghe. I'm from a place called Zhiguang. You've probably never heard of it. And there are looks around the group. Everyone actually looks at Saral, who's this like small, fat person with glasses, for confirmation. And Saral goes, Zhiguang? No, actually, I don't believe any of us have ever heard of it. But it's nice to meet you, Yinghe. I'm Saral, and Saral looks up at Baegoon, who glances over at Zinnia. And Baegoon says, Zinnia, what do you think? Should we tell them?
Zinnia glances over at Ozzel to see if Ozzel says anything.
This whole time, Ozzel had been leaning against one of the concrete walls, arms crossed, not looking at any of you. And as you glance over at them, they glance at you with a completely unreadable expression and a slight shrug of the shoulder. They could care less.
There's a deep sigh and like just a sharp inhale. How long have y'all been on planet?
Couple weeks.
Why?
Came here looking for them. And Xainan looks at Azali's raid.
And
Eyes
we go where
widen.
he goes.
Eyebrows raise at that. Everyone in the group looks at Ozzel. Ozzel gives nothing in response.
Zinnia speaks up. I know the name. Xainan. There's at least some truth in that.
Jack nods
can
slowly. Okay then. I see. And you see a pause there as you admit that as you reveal that you knew the name Xainan. This is new information to everyone else in the group, including Jack. And Yinghe speaks up in this moment, hands shaking slightly, covered in Mac's blood. And Yinghe says, "Wait, hold on. How do we know we can trust all of you? Why did you attack them? One of you killed someone." And Libra at that lets out a, shit. Okay, yeah. Listen, that was a mistake. We weren't trying to kill anyone. We were just trying to cause some general confusion and chaos and get control of Buta's transport ship.
Pretty damn accurate mistake.
Thank you. But no, I was aiming for, well, doesn't matter what I was aiming for. Listen, says Baegoon. We're all very sorry for catching you in the crossfire. That was not, and he looks at Libra, our usual or preferred way of doing things. This planet asks too much from each of us. And we didn't know there were any other survivors or planetary visitors, I suppose, with Buta's crew. You keep saying Buta. They never said anything about a Buta. All they mentioned was something about a garden, and the woman I was talking to, she mentioned a Samishi.
Yeah.
At the name Samishi, everyone in this group, except Bug and Nose Mama, reacts with surprise, confusion, shock even. Zinnia, how does the name Samishi sit with you?
It's a name that has been, I think, on the wall of the plans for Tears of Fuyumi for a while. It is not the highest priority. Buddha is who we're about. And this is interesting, but I think at some degree there's maybe an assumption that maybe this is just a side project that Buddha's still a part of in some way, shape, or form.
And it's Saral who voices the shock of the group at large. Samishi? And she glances at you, Zinnia, then Baegoon, then Jack, then back at Nova. That doesn't make any sense. Are you sure they said Samishi?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Positive. Baegoon gives an uneasy look. Samishi Erebor is Buta's wife. Truth be told, we don't know too much about her beyond the fact that she's married to Buta. Well, we know some things about Samishi, or rather, I know some things. I took the liberty of doing a little bit of a deep dive into Buta's family tree when I had some free time between archival prep and Libra snorts.
Archival.
Yes, I am the resident researcher of the group, and I know for a fact that Samishi Erebor, née Kibo, is from a family of merchants, much like myself, and she married Buta after he was given reign of Keseki as a gesture of goodwill. As far as I know, Samishi never really had any political dealings with Buta. She was completely uninvolved in that part of his life, kept to herself, the records say. I think most historians just assumed she was dead when Buta refused to leave the planet.
Seir raises an arm like he's in class.
And Dr. Wu, the older woman, points at you and in a very professor-like way says, "Yes, dear."
I'm sorry, hang on. Archival, the Samishi, Buta, I hear you on all of that front, but, what is your interest in them anyway? You say you're an archiving team? Did I hear that right?
There's another look around the group and nods. And there are hesitant and careful expressions, but these expressions are slowly crystallizing toward openness, as it becomes really obvious at this point that your group has nothing to do with Buta or Samishi. And Baegoon says, with one final look at Zinnia for permission, Well, I suppose we should start from the beginning with this. Introductions. You all gave your names. Thank you for that. I'm Begun Dipti. That sourpuss over there with the rifle is Libra Durin. The distinguished older gentlewoman over here is Dr. Yvonne Wu. Her protege is Sabral Temin. Our resident mechanic is Jack Tong. The kid is Bug. Its mother is Nose Mama. That's Zinnia, and I think you already know Hazalis Raid. All of us together, we are part of the Tears of Fuyumi. The Tears of Fuyumi are... He pauses, seeing the looks of unrecognition on each of your faces. This is a term none of you would know, including you, Xainan. You don't know this term. The Tears of Fuyumi are a widespread group of like-minded folk who think that this galaxy could be a better place. I mean, you must know what the Lords are doing to our homes. Draining our planets of resources, working our people to the bone. We think things can and should be different. We're trying to make a change.
Taking what is left and leaving you with nothing. Lumièra finishes familiarly, like her voice reflecting a tint of seeing firsthand exactly what it is that they're talking about.
Like the pearl mine.
She flinches at the pearl mine. Subtly.
Like the Haruna.
She flinches
Yes.
again.
Many of us are doing many different things all across the galaxy to try to make a change. Some of us sabotage the Lord's operations wherever and however we can. Others are advocates, caretakers, who support their communities when those with power exploit or abandon them. I'm also not from Keseki. I'm from Datu. It's a beautiful planet, some 2 billion miles away from here. Got my start as a busker, actually, but having nice pipes doesn't exactly keep the lights on, so I worked at a machine shop, too. Over time, I eventually put together a union, tried to make the Lords treat us like people, and not just cogs in a machine. Jack chimes in. I met Begun at his shop on Datu, after I caught a shuttle off-world during the drought. Turns out surviving an apocalypse doesn't pay the bills. You know, I was used to getting shit coin on Shuten, and it was the same old in Datu. Truth be told, I just wanted to keep my head down, go to work, go home. Didn't want to think about what I left behind, didn't want to think about Keseki. But then, I saw it. Felt it. Again. Flecks of dust on my cheek, mixing in with the engine grease at my shop. What happened to Keseki, it's happening to Datu. Right now, to planets all over the galaxy. So I said to myself, fuck it, enough was enough. Joined up with Begun, joined up with the Tears.
This is happening across the galaxy?
It's not just a Keseki thing? Libra scoffs and spits on the ground, some blood coming with it. Of course it is. Keseki may have been the first to die, but it sure as hell won't be the last unless we do something about it. And it's all their fault, you know? They'll never admit it, of course, not officially, not legally, but it's the Lords. They're draining our worlds of everything until nothing is left behind but dust.
Lumièra's face ashens. The idea of this happening but multiplied roots her into the ground where she stands. She blinks several times like she's trying to clear her vision of that dark looming spot that seems to follow her above everywhere since she's been on this planet. Everywhere. Fuck.
Seir
blinks.
feels.
Oh.
Go ahead.
No, please.
Seir feels his hand going towards the radio and feeling against the grooves of that radio and remembering the strange sense of this being wrong. This sort of strange, looming feeling of doom, but not like this. This wasn't what was meant to happen. And that's a feeling that just keeps echoing again and again from the base of Seir's skull, where the red threads emerge past his antlers. This isn't quite right, but he can't quite put a finger on it.
Xainan also sees that dark spot that is haunting Lumièra when he closes his eyes to think about the words that are being said. But the fear of it seems to have evaporated in gold and dust. And in this moment, he thinks about the knowledge that he feels in his bones that fate did not will this. And finally, he hears the words. Really feels them. They rattle around in his bones. Hell, they're in his blood. He can feel his ma's parent being worked to the bone. Inside of that, he can feel the ghosts of Keseki being drained by these lords. And Keseki weeps for it inside, and he can feel that this is not just one of those things. There is another. It is choices. It's choices that got us here. And as he stops looking at Azali's raid for a moment, looks to Bagoon, to the tears before him, he understands what brought them all here. And he just nods along, because this is the best meeting of lone survivors he has ever been to.
Dr. Wu lifts her head, small smile on her face tinged with deep, deep sadness, and she shares with you all. Before the dust, I was a professor of natural history at Mokuge University. I studied the drought before it was called the drought. There were, and have always been clear causes for this phenomenon. Deforestation, overfarming, overfishing, pollution, industrial waste, the list goes on and on. I would know, I wrote it. But perhaps the most damning was the extraction. Trillions and trillions of gallons of water taken off planet and sent to the galactic treasury.
They took it?
They sure did. They quite literally drained our planet dry, and no one knows why. It's not on public record, but they've been doing it for a very long time. You know, I used to be a lot more moderate than I am now. Let me tell you, I wrote quite the library of strongly worded letters. Not just letters, petitions, surveys, drafts of regulatory policies that would, of course, never be enforced, even if our provincial magistrates were somehow compelled to implement them. The turning point for me was my husband. He was a professor as well. We worked together on many of the same projects. We escaped Keseki together. We left the drought behind. But the drought did not leave him. 2 months after we survived Keseki, my husband passed from dust wasting. We never had children of our own. We were all we had. That's why I'm here.
Xainan walks to Dr. Wu and just stands a little closer. I'm sorry.
You're not the one who did it. It's the lords who should be sorry.
Sure. But also, it's a hell of a weight to carry.
I appreciate that, dearie. And she squeezes your hand, giving you that sad but genuine smile. You know, the one thing that's gotten me through all of this has been everyone here. I don't know how I would have managed if I didn't find the Tears. If the Tears didn't find me. They needed someone of my expertise for this mission, after all. And I needed my protege to come along with me. Speaking of which, why are all of you back on Keseki? What's the mission here? Oh, I can take this one. As I hinted at earlier, Lumièra, I am an archivist, and this mission as a whole is actually an archival mission. Our goal here is to build a first-hand account of Keseki while we still can. Her flora, fauna, climate, artifacts, any vestiges left behind by the communities that thrived here. Anything and everything. After all, the Tears of Fuyumi believe that understanding the past is the key to making better decisions for the future. Even so, this mission was something of a hard sell to Tears leadership, even though one of the co-founders of the Tears came up with the idea in the first place. Azalis, maybe you can speak about how this all came together? Ozzel lingers at the edge of the group still, unmoving from the concrete wall, staring at no one and nothing in particular. And all they say in response is, no. Okay, well, anyway, long story short, we were able to get the mission approved. Yay! But it does hinge on a crucial detail. To get off-planet, and to make all of this worth it, resources-wise, we need to secure a shuttle. Jack pipes up. An Emperor-class G384 Nomad 4 shuttle, to be exact. There are only 39 of these shuttles that have ever been made in the galaxy. Zuma Corp produces them. If the Tears can get our hands on one of these, there's no telling what we can do. And all records research indicates that one exists on Keseki. Yes, and the one that does exist belongs, of course, to the planetary lord Buta Erebor. Ergo, why we're here. It's the only shuttle left on Keseki. Every other seaworthy ship left the planet years ago. But Buta never did. No one really knows why, because, you know, as far as all of us knew, he was something of a blowhard. Doesn't really make sense for him to have stuck around, but he did. There are no signs or records or logs of him leaving Keseki ever, and as far as we know, the Nomad 4 is still here, on planet, in Buta's possession. And his wife's possession, I guess. Those people with the cargo ship, we thought they were Buta's underlings. Okay, but apparently they're Samishi's underlings too? I'm not sure about that. I helped some of them get back onto the ship, and they just seemed like people to me. Survivors. That's right. They were mining rocks for water. They invited us to their home. Everything you've described about the Lords make them sound like terrible people who only care about themselves. But whoever Samishi is, the woman I was with, Stovall, spoke about her with respect, admiration. They said that Samishi was just trying to help people, that she was trying to help Kaseki.
Look around. This would help what Kaseki does.
The tears look at each other. And Yinkle says, she was Buta's wife, right? Who was never really involved in anything. I don't know. I don't know much about any of this, but based on how Stovall spoke about them, based on how Stovall treated us, it doesn't seem like something a lord would do.
We're clearly missing enough information. We're just telling you what we heard.
Well, Zinnia, Begun turns to you. Whatever Buta and Samishi want, at this point, it's clear that our information coming into this is inaccurate at best. We should
How it tends to go.
probably... Sorry, what did you say?
That's how it tends to go.
We should reassess our plan. It seems like we're missing a lot of pieces.
As soon as Begun says that, Seir is looking at the entirety of this crew. At first when he heard archival mission, that makes sense. A lot of these folks are mechanics, scholars, ordinary folk who have joined the cause. With the exception of Zinnia and Ozelise, of course, and Libra. But the more they spoke about this mission, the more that Seir looks at their equipment and thinks about the ambush. This group? Planned an ambush? To what? Clearly for a worthy mission. But that was dangerous. The casualties... It's a good thing we were there. What could have happened if we had not been there to confuse the conflict? And Seir is just sitting in that, looking at this group of people who have gathered together. There's a ringing dissonance that he wants to find out more on, but stays quiet for a moment before turning to Yinghe and Lumièra. I imagine we're kind of like sat close together before leaning into the two of them, saying, their mission's pretty good. Target, direction.
I agree. They seem like they're trying to do something about all the terrible things we've learned about Kaseki so far. About the lords. I thought... for the past few weeks since we not run into anyone, I thought maybe there was nothing and no one left. But clearly that's not the case.
No.
Clearly they're still fighting for something.
And also as Seir looks out of the corner of his eye at the shadow of a person near this pillar. So, what do we do now?
Lumièra
pause.
looks like this entire time Lumièra has been absorbing this information, but not really reacting to it. That wasn't until she heard the initial purpose of this meeting from Dr. Wu, trying to collect the remnants of what remains. And it knocks the breath right out of her. What she hoped for, longed for, needed, wants so desperately deep into the core, the pit of her stomach, Is there some type of recollection, something from Tungal outside of the bits and pieces that she's gotten now? Recently, that is. And she sits in that because she knows if she opens her mouth, she wouldn't stop. So she nods. Finally, almost as if she's come back into herself from the faraway look that was across her face. And she nods. You know, tears are fitting. Tears of Fuyumi. In the eyes of some, tears can be deemed as weakness, but they can also be truth. They can also be life and love at the same time.
Xainan, across the room, wearing his truth, his life, and his love on his face, the same way he has every day since he joined trans, sitting among Cassicans. Here's the opposite of the call that Lumièra hears, as he hears a funeral song being sung for a world that he's not ready to see as dead. You're just archiving, you're not here to stop it?
Stop. What? The dust? Says Big.
Yeah.
You can't stop.
What's there to stop? It's already happened. But we can try to stop it on other planets, like my home, Datu. We're doing all we can to honor the lost here. As one of the driving decrees of the Tears says, there's a reason why we say that we honor the lost, fight for the now, and hope for the future. This world might be lost, but there are worlds right now, and futures to be had that are not yet. And it's up to us to fight for them.
And you can see Xainan try and swallow that bitter pill. And his eyes wander back to Azali's right.
Bagoon's eyes wander back to you, Zinnia. Well, no matter what our information is, it's clear we have some missing spots. What do you think, Zinnia? Does this change things about our plan?
I don't think much changes at its core. We still need to get to, I guess, the garden. And we still need to get that ship. We still need to get out of here.
We've wasted enough time as it is. And the voice growls from the edge of the group. Azali's raid speaking for the first time in a long time. Buta or his wife, it doesn't matter. We go for the shuttle. If they get in our way, we cut them down.
There's just a nod.
Is that honor in the lost? Or is that fighting for the now?
Do you address that to Ozzel?
Yep.
Is that out loud?
Oh, yeah.
Seir stares at Lumièra and Yinghe. He does not blink.
Ozzel looks at you for the first time since entering this tunnel, their one remaining eye blazing. And they say to you, slow, steady, cold. Who the fuck do you think you are? To say these words that you've only just learned now to me who wrote them. I made this. I am this, and now you come in here, after all this time, acting like I'm the one that doesn't understand what this is all about. Where have you been, Xainan Esch? Go fuck yourself.
And Xainan
The tears
swallows anything
They
that
look-
can come out.
They look stunned. Everyone here looks stunned. Like they've never seen Ozzel react like this before because they haven't. Their rage is always cold, measured, careful. This is the most they've outwardly attacked someone like this before. Even for you, Zinnia. You've never seen Ozzel like this.
Yeah, honestly, I think the fact that Ozzel used words is shocking enough. In any other circumstance, he'd be dead again. And I think the audacity for him to say something like that, knowing, has completely, has Zinnia just staring at him in this group over and over again, no matter what they did, as they kept an eye on everybody else, sort of took stock of their team. They always fell back to these four. There's something there, and specifically Xainan Esch. It feels like fate again, and that is not a good thing here.
And I think to make it
Baekun is
worse, Zinnia, Xainan just says, I got displaced, as he swallows the words of someone who has fought with Ozzel's raid many times.
There is a silence that stretches longer than the end of time. And then Baekun claps his hands together and says, okay, well, pardon our manners. We have been going on and on at length about ourselves without even offering a seat to you or to any of our own. Listen, the Tears welcome anyone and everyone who might want to join us and are interested in contributing to the cause of fighting for a better future. And in this particular situation, we're aware that you all are travelers from other planets as well. Regardless of how you made your way here, your only way off this planet would be through a shuttle. So if our goals are aligned, I would say perhaps the rest of us would be open to welcoming them in our group as we travel toward wherever this shuttle might be. What do we think, Tears? And Baekun turns and addresses the group at large. And there are slow, cautious nods and looks of agreement, more or less, but a gradient of general enthusiasm. Libra is at the most hostile side of it. They look very suspicious, but they are acquiescing. Sabral is on the other side of the spectrum, looks rather excited to see new people, people who are interested, people who are curious, people who have questions. What of you, Zinnia?
There's a look Zinnia has with the Tears. I think Zinnia isn't much of a talker, but expressions say enough for her. And I think she looks at Libra, Jack, and Baekun, very specifically saying, I'm willing to go along with this, but keep your eyes on a swivel.
There's an unspoken recognition and acknowledgement of the look in your eyes. And then you see Libra nod, kind of shift their weight in the direction of their rifle as though saying, don't worry, I've got them if they decide to do something untoward. And Jack giving Libra a measured look at that, and then back at you, Zinnia, with a nod. And Baekun gives a tight smile that then turns into a genuine toothy one as he turns to the rest of you, Nova, and says, well then, the four of you are more than welcome to travel with us.
I think likewise Xainan takes stock of what Nova thinks, because he's been standing among the Tears. But he came here with a new family.
I think that this is maybe the best direction we could hope for. Truth be told, I had wanted to go with the ship to the garden. I wanted to go with Stovall, but maybe it seems like we're headed in that direction regardless. Safety in numbers, right? And they seem to be fighting for something good. And I think I need that right now.
So we go. We fight for something that we believe in right alongside them.
Yeah. I agree. And Seir, I think for the two of you, whoever, I don't know where Xainan's head is at, so I won't speak for you. But for everyone who would care to see at Seir, usually Seir's got the same energy as Libra. Hand on one of the crescent knives, a hardened stare, and there's a temptation. He's still withdrawn. You see it, that hesitation, that lack of warmth, something unfamiliar in his body. But his eyes are thirsty. He's drinking up all this information. There's a curiosity. He stares at all these people with Tears of Fuyumi. His eyes multiple times trail over to Bug, whose position in this place has been unspoken and unsaid. And there's something different, even if old habits die hard. Right.
If you'll have us.
Okay, then. That's that, I suppose. Yes, we are more than happy, or satisfied, to have the four of you. And listen, we've got some work to do if we want this tunnel to be safe. As Soral says, can't have the dust storm blowing in here through the corridor that Nose Mama carved for us. How about this? Let's check for injuries and get that wall patched up. Lickety-split. Tears!
Right.
You know what to do. And with that, the group at large begins to disperse, moving away from you, Nova, like a well-oiled machine, each person knowing exactly where they have to go in what particular order. A comfortable familiarity, both for each other and for the vicious everyday survival necessary that Kezaki demands. We see some of the Tears excavating bedrolls, tents, lanterns, and other provisions from Nose Mama's back, while other members approach the broken tunnel wall with their own bloodied companions to help heal and assuage them. Bug, in particular, springs over to Nose Mama's side, rusty spoon in tow, scraping dirt and pebbles and loosening chunks of dirt from between her scales as she rests a large reptilian snout against the ground. Zinnia. As your group disperses, where among them do we find you?
I think Zinnia helps tend to the wounded. I think specifically her power, her magic, is useful in that. And she doesn't talk about it much. It's as simple as don't ask questions and you will be helped. And I think she walks over to Begun.
Begun is one of the people helping to roll and lift and carry rocks and put them back into place on the tunnel wall, despite his nose still being broken and his face being bloodied.
Your nose. 1 second.
Thank you, Zinnia. Now that the adrenaline is wearing off, it does sting a little bit. He kind of bends over a little bit to let you assess his face.
This is gonna hurt. And
That's
grabs his face, like his nose, in one slight movement, and also with a little hint of magic, tries to set it, and you can feel it almost putting itself back together.
Yes, there's a kind of nauseating crack as Baekun lets out a that never gets old. And as you continue to tend and kind of wipe up and clean his face a little, he gives you a careful and knowing look, scanning your face. So, how do you feel about the newcomers?
I think there is a lot just on the hesitation that Zinnia has. Mostly harmless, I'd like to say.
Mostly,
Xainan, though.
Right, the name you know.
Mm-hmm. You didn't hear Ozzel's gun go off?
Of course I did.
What was that, Xainan?
And he lived?
Yeah. Yeah,
He's one lucky bastard. But, that's not the only thing giving you pause about those folks, is it?
their story, it's like I said, there was some truth there. I
well, their
fully
story
believe-
is a crock of shit, but I think they're mostly harmless.
Exactly. The Seir Bug has taken a bit of a shine, I'd say, to him. So that's probably a good thing. And
I actually
Lumièra
find that to
seemed-
be a great thing. It's nice that Bug seems to trust Seir. And Lumièra?
helped Jack. Seems kind. And not in a way that they normally have here.
Right. Is there something more than that, Zinnia? You're acting a little odd about them.
Can't put my finger
And
on
Zinnia.
it. It just feels.
Yes, there is that odd feeling in you that this entire time has been building and building inside of you. A feeling that you haven't encountered in a really long time.
Yeah.
Echoes of familiarity. And even as you're patching up Baekun, you can see these strangers in the corner of your eye. See the way they look at each other, the way they react to each other, and in particular, the cover story, let's say, that Seir and Xainan and Lumièra and Yinghe had given. Well, don't they rather sound like a story you might have given a lifetime ago, when you called yourself an agent of an almost forgotten syndicate?
Exactly.
And those little unspoken gestures, their posture, their gait, all of it is just so familiar. Reminds you of a life you had left behind.
Yeah, there is such a deep ringing uncertainty and unsettling familiarity here. Zinnia's story is not that dissimilar. They were part of a group of researchers who came here to sort of examine the dust, and eventually their team left them behind. That's what they told Ozzelise and every other member of the Tears whenever they've been bold enough to ask. So they recognize the familiarity of the exact type of bullshit they're peddling. But looking even closer at the way that Jack was healed, specifically, there is no blood that is still seeping from the wound, nothing that seems like this was so slapdash and scattershot. And it happened within minutes, and it happened in the middle of fighting. They shouldn't be that okay. There is something about this group that does not sit right. And it doesn't sit right in the exact way that Zinnia can't talk about it with anyone else.
That's absolutely right. And Zinnia, as you put the finishing touch on Baekun's broken nose with that small spark of magic, emanating off of your fingers, we follow the wavering in the journey that this magic creates, resonating across the damp air, resonating across the dry air in this tunnel, back to where Strike Team Nova stand in a group. Nova! There's a moment with just the four of you as the rest of the tears disperse around you. And in particular, Lumièra, you feel the resonance, the vibration of magic through the air coming from Zinnia's direction. The exact same kind of magic you had felt back in the shootout when she had initially tried to patch up Jack. The same kind of magic you had felt when that shield sprang out of nowhere and collapsed back into Zinnia's body, soul, mind. There is within you, and all of you, Seir and Xainan as well, a strange familiarity you see sparkling within Zinnia, just as she sees sparkling within each of you.
Lumièra's been watching this entire time. When the tears broke off into their respective routine, Lumièra watched and followed where everyone was going, expecting for her to naturally fall into where the healers would go to tend to the wounded. So this entire time, Zinnia, you felt her eyes directly in the back of your skull, burning holes as she stands and doesn't make a noise, doesn't acknowledge anything, but her head cocks from one side to the other, back and forth, watching. And when that spring pops up, it's like tasting a dish from a loved one that you've been separated from for so long. It coats her tongue. She can smell it in the air. She can taste it. She can feel it. It rises up the back of her spine to the base of her neck before it settles. Lumièra has never been unintelligent. She's always been observant, and she's always been hypervigilant in her surroundings. She knows exactly where she can place that from. It's the Syndicate. You are the last, aren't you, Zinnia? The missing grave from those three that we saw earlier. She sees it a bit more thoroughly than you probably think she can. And she walks up to you, boldened. Right off over
Xainan,
to the
Seir,
side.
Xainan and Seir, you see Lumièra have a look of realization, things coming together, titrating across her face. As she turns and strides towards Zinnia, do you follow?
I mean, right now, Xainan is processing a lot, but that hug still makes him feel safe. He is enjoying being in proximity to Lumièra, and honestly, he's just curious what would draw her away, and he's very curious about Zinnia when he realizes where she is going. So yeah, he does follow.
Seir's eyes narrow the second that Lumièra strides on over, boldened by a realization. He knows that look in her eyes. When she has found something, unearthed a truth. It's when she is her most dazzling. Brilliant. So of course, your moon follows you.
Yinghe, of course, follows as well. If everyone's going, so are they. And Lumièra, as you stride closer to Zinnia and approach, how do you address her with your strike team on your heels?
Lumièra subtly places her hand back behind her as if she feels the cavalry stepping in place with her as she moves, stopping them in their tracks from following her any further. So it's just her. She loves the fact that they are behind her. But this is deeper than that. Healer to healer. And she walks up to the side of Zinnia. Nice work there. You can't even tell where the bone is fractured, right at the bridge.
Pretty good at what I do.
I can say the same. Lumièra flourishes her hand a bit, straightening Bigun's nose right at that bridge that she was talking about. It's just slightly cracked a bit more.
Ooh.
Straightens it up. You can't tell anymore. There's no hump.
Thank you for that, Lumièra. Wow! That also hurt, but I think it does feel better. You know, the two of you look like... Maybe I'll get out of your way. Libra, need a hand with those rocks? And Begun gives you a knowing look, Zinnia, sensing that there's something going on here, gives you the space, and walks off. So the two of you have a moment of privacy.
Lumièra rolls her shoulders and stares you directly in your eyes, Zinnia. The opal of her irises gleam. You're not sure where the light is picking up from. She nods. I know exactly where you are from.
There's a head tilt. As you four walked closer to Zinnia, my hand was already on my gun a little bit, especially with your hand behind you. And I don't think that stops, and I think I think it's actually more intensified as you say that.
I don't
Do you
want
want
any
to continue?
problems. I just... It's familiar. Something I thought I lost. And Lumièra nods at you. A look across her face. She doesn't say it out loud, but you can read it in her body language. I know exactly where you are from and who you are. What you wield is from the Syndicate. Just like me. She doesn't say much else after that. Lets you sit in it. Backs away. Going to tend to other people.
Zinnia, you stand there hearing these words come out of Lumièra's mouth, hearing terms you have not heard another mortal speak to you in over 10 years. How do you respond to this? As she starts to turn to leave. Her strike team standing behind her, watching this conversation unfold.
Zinnia was thinking of something similar to say. Wasn't going to actually say it because I think there's a degree of decorum to hold with this, considering the everything around us. And I think Zinnia's eyes give it away far faster than any denial could. There is a look of almost panic and recognition and almost anger at the audacity for bringing those words back to me after 10 years. And I think you see all of that in a flash of a second. And as you try to turn and step away, we're not done with this conversation.
Do you grab her? Or stop her in any way?
I think her voice is is said with enough force that you, I think, would pick up on you should probably not walk away.
She stops mid-step and turns back to you. Her shoulders steeled. She kind of flicks her hair that's in her face out of her way, staring you directly in the face, not backing down, but understanding, seeing, relating to the fact that she touched a nerve. And she doesn't cower in that, no, never. She's not scared. But she understands she's dealt with Xainan long enough to know what it's like when she touches a live wire. So she stands cautiously, anticipating.
You don't get to invoke that name. You don't get to say that after 10 years. Artemis send you?
And when you say Artemis, that's when you get a reaction. She seizes. Her breath stops. She blinks. Her eyes, that steely gaze that was laid on you, they blink several times as if trying to bring herself back here to the present. You wouldn't pick that up, but Nova would, and her body language. No. I haven't seen them for quite some time now. Her voice cracks.
Zinnia takes a step closer. So, I think whispers, gets low enough to whisper in your ear. So I take it you for some sort of strike team. What are you here for?
Exactly what Xainan said. Find Ozzel. And I think it pours out of her mouth before she can really wrap her mind around it. We left. And gulps audibly, as if that's the first time that she's acknowledged it to anyone outside of her strike team.
Left hits Zinnia, I think, upside the head, almost like being struck with a brick or something. That's not where that where she had anticipated that conversation to go. People, barring extenuating circumstances, people don't leave the syndicate. Especially not a full team of people. What do you mean left?
We left. Fled. She follows. Does not give much more. But Zinnia, you notice her eyes fall away from you. She was looking at you, but they trail off in the direction of her strike team, not making direct eye contact with you. Like that word holds a lot more weight than the way she exudes it.
I think this is when Xainan finally steps forward. He had kept a few paces back, at first assuming that this was a conversation about medicine. And then when the word syndicate was spoken, he let Lumièra follow the lead that she was chewing on. He can feel that desire within himself, so he understands. But seeing her freeze, he steps forward. As I said, we got lost.
Zinnia, Lumièra, Xainan, and Seir next to Xainan as well. The four of you can sense it, unspoken but unmistakably there, between you. 3 graves at the base of a radio tower. 1 missing. A missing name. A final faded piece falling into place as this realization resonates throughout the air between all of you. Unmistakably. And Strike Team Nova, all of you together now. Look Zinnia square in the face. The last member of Strike Team Sunrise, who still lives. And we're going to end the session there. Thank you all so much for tuning in to this episode of the Chaos Protocol. Arc 4, episodes 19 and 20. Again, can you believe it? Oh my gosh, how are we we're past the midpoint now. We're hurtling toward the final act. Oh my goodness. Let's do some much-deserved introductions, starting with our incredible, bumbulicious guest star for the evening, Dare Hickman.
We're really trying to make that work. Hi, I'm Dare. Pronouns she, they, they, and it. You can find me pretty much anywhere on the internet at Dare to Dream RPG. That is DARE, the number 2, DREAM RPG. I am just so glad to be back here and dealing with the mess of this strike team that should not be. Why are you here? Go, leave me. And I'm going to throw it over to Val.
Hi, don't you know this is the arc that kicks you in the head? We just ended up being the 4th-person kick you in the head that was meant for you. Hi everyone, I'm Valiant Dorian. I use he him his pronouns. You can find me all across the internet, Valiant Dorian or also Spirit Bear. Please enjoy that lovely treasure I just say on. Tonight, I had the distinct pleasure of playing Seir. Uses he, they pronouns. Stuff you can look out for me is I've got a Kickstarter starting in like a couple days for a TTRPG limited web series that I'm doing with Pur.M and the One Shot Network. Would appreciate the love and support for that.
Donate, that's a threat. Back it. That's a threat, and I'm serious.
Thank you very much. And I've got a charity actual play anthology coming up, but that'll be in a bit of time. But keep an eye out on you. So that, and with that, I'm gonna pass it out over to Pop-Up. Help!
Hi everyone, I'm Kai. I use he, they, and she pronouns. You can find me everywhere as the Stella of Imladris, where I am a TTRPG performer, game designer, wearer of 1,000 hats, and committer of gay crimes. And with that, I'm gonna pass it on over to Samm.
Hello, everyone. I am Sam Star over here once again playing Lumièra, everyone's favorite baby girl. You can catch me all across the interwebs, more specifically where the butterflies do fly blue at Lust for Life X, where you can catch me on all types of things. I had something really fun and clever to say and then lost it in the midst of my introduction, trying to be professional. So with that being said, I'm gonna pass it on over to the boss. Take us home.
the boss, taking us home. So keeping in line with our more relaxed production schedule, I'm usually pretty good at enunciation. That one got away from me. While our dramaturg heals up, our next Chaos stream is going to be in 2 weekends on Saturday, April 18th at 8 p.m. US Eastern Time, right here on Twitch and YouTube Live. So please join us then for the next installment of Chaos. I'm totally positive nothing bad's going to happen to Strike Team Nova and or the Tears of Fuyumi. Totally.
Connie,
I mean, look
Connie.
at her.
You just
Would she
gave
hurt
them
you?
to us. You can't just harm them now.
Would someone who made this harm you?
Yes.
Yes.
No,
Yes.
mama.
I love how
You made a group-
I love the complete unanimous yes.
You
Yes,
made a
you
group
would.
to take away from me already.
Well, only if you piss me off. Anyway, even though our next Chaos stream, I am a vindictive and tyrannical god. Our next Chaos stream is in 2 weeks. But we will still be streaming next Saturday, April 11th, with another community night. So stay tuned on our Discord server and social media pages about the content of our community stream, because it's sure to be something fun, silly, and chaotic. In the meantime, you can support our show by joining our Patreon, joining and participating in our Discord, making fan works if you are so inspired, posting about Transplaner on Blue Sky, Instagram, Tumblr, rating our podcast, buying merch from our merch store, and most importantly, telling someone else about the channel. Your friends, your family, your ex that you thought was dead who shot you again in the mouth and the face and the body, your parakeet, oh no, your barista, your dog, your cat, your nose mama, your parakeet. Thank you so much, Transplaners. We will see you next Saturday, April 11th at 8 p.m. US Eastern Time on Twitch and YouTube Live. And in the meantime, Bijou. Bye-bye. Hello, Transplaners! You know what time it is. Sponsor Connie time. For Arc 4, we're collaborating with the Working Families Party, who are building a multiracial coalition of working class people to make our communities a better place to live for everyone. You might be thinking, why does a political party care about a queer tabletop show? As it turns out, the Working Families Party believes in the power of fandom to effect positive political change in the real world. So do we. As a Transplanered, you're no stranger to just how political our show can be and how our stories are never just fiction. In fact, let's take an action together right now by signing a petition by the Working Families Party to break up big media companies. This cause means a lot to us personally, as indie actual play performers fighting censorship, telling authentic stories, and resisting authoritarianism. Go to bit.ly/WFPtrans and add your name to the list. By signing this petition, you will join the Working Families Party's mailing list and receive opportunities to help them organize, educate, and fundraise. So let's build a better future together. Howdy, Transplaners! It is, once again, Sponsor Connie time. Arc 4 is proudly sponsored by Hero Forge, a website where you can design and print your very own custom miniatures. But you already knew that, didn't you? Because the spectacular Hero Forge has sponsored us every single arc so far. We've stuck together through all sorts of exciting updates, like Hero Forge Pro, statuettes, color-printed plastic, premium plastic, but now, it's time. It's time for one of the most exciting Hero Forge updates ever. Custom dice. Hero Forge is now offering 3D printed custom dice, where you can put literally anything into the clear material of the die. Each die is printed in the same layers as the item or character bust inside of it, resulting in a solid, perfectly weighted chunk of math rock. You decide the size, color, and shape of your die, the size and color of the numbers on top, and, of course, what the die contains.
Put a frog in it.
Don't die-lay! Visit bit.ly/transforge to design your very own custom miniature or custom dice today.